Afternoon. Certainly want to thank Pastor John Gerard and Pastor Angie Cox and Josh Poston for opening up this beautiful space for us today. So also want to thank our friends Mike Primo and folks over at the Community Development for All People for opening up their doors for some of our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness. Before talking about the topic of plans for this winter, earlier today, there was some exciting news from CSB. They announced that Shannon Isom will be the new executive director of the Community Shelter Board, and I'm very excited about this announcement. Shannon comes to this community from Dayton, and we look forward to welcoming her. This is important work, having somebody qualified, but also someone who has a caring heart that serves folks is going to be really important to our community. This conversation could not be more timely around making sure that our residents in Columbus, regardless of where they are, what stage they are in their lives right now, have a safe place to go, specifically at night and specifically when weather occurs, could not be more timely. We all are watching the news and understand that this weekend will be dangerously cold here in this region. And so the work of my colleagues, of our community partners, is so important and will show itself today and going forward, specifically this weekend. But like I said, it's getting cold outside, and while some that might mean a higher heating bill, cold weather could mean injury or worse for folks experiencing homelessness. Last year, I went down to the Community Development for All People and met a gentleman who had lost toes, their feet, parts of their feet, because he had been outside during extreme cold. So earlier this year, a group of folks got together to talk about how we could do better this year. What steps could we as a community take to ensure that all of our residents have access to safe, warm places during the coldest months of the year? Today, you'll hear from city officials, from our nonprofit leaders, and others about plans for this winter. Those plans roughly fall into three buckets: what we're going to do for our residents during the daytime, what we're going to do for our residents during the nighttime, and then what we will do for our residents in extreme cold circumstances. You'll hear from speakers about each of these areas, all with the goal of providing more safe, accessible spaces for those experiencing homelessness. What we're discussing today is built on top of the strong shelter system that we have in Columbus. The vast majority of our unhoused individuals will stay in our shelters. There's no waiting list for the shelters, and that's really important for folks to know. When you need a space, we will make a space in Columbus. However, given the unique experiences and trauma many unhoused individuals carry with them, congregate shelter is not always an option for everyone. I want to thank the representatives from the Community Shelter Board for being so collaborative during this process. We aren't going to solve Columbus's housing deficit through this pilot program. However, I hope that unhoused residents will be safer and warmer this winter, with the opportunity to connect with outreach workers who can create a housing plan with them. Again, this would not have been possible without true collaboration, true partnership. A lot of that culminated and was led by our Housing Advocate Council, Council Housing Chair Shayla Favor. With that, I'll bring Councilmember Favor up to speak more about this.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Council President, for that great opening and brief remarks. Today's winter warming conversation is one that critically intersects the work we do in both the Housing and the Health and Human Services committees. Access to safe, stable, and quality shelter is fundamental to the stabilization of individuals and families, to physical and mental health, quality of life, and the economic outcomes. Last year, we heard devastating stories of our residents facing homelessness, staying outside in dangerously low temperatures like we are currently experiencing, and as Council President Hardin said, what we're expected to experience later on this week. This is simply unacceptable. Every Columbus resident deserves dignity and access to a warm space. We knew we had to do better this year, but we also knew we couldn't do it alone. So over the last few months, we, along with our teams, in addition to the Department of Development and key community partners, worked hard to create a comprehensive winter warming plan. The fact that various partners across agencies in our community stood together, meeting weekly and working hard to set up this winter warming plan demonstrated the truth behind the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Today, I am proud to share that the city has allocated dollars to support community organizations in providing critical services to our communities over the winter. The winter warming plan will strengthen community shelter boards' overflow by increasing the number of warming centers in our city. This year, libraries, recreation centers, and designated warming sites will be available during the day, with 3 24/7 sites that will provide overnight warming centers. This additional support ensures that every resident facing homelessness will have a warm and a safe space during the cold months. To ensure the information is accurately shared, we have created an online map which can be found on City Council's social pages later today and will be updated every few weeks. Simply put, access to warm and safe shelter is a human right and needs to be treated as such. This plan is not a permanent solution to our housing crisis or homelessness. The truth is that there is no silver bullet to fix these issues. However, the future of our city depends on ensuring all residents have means and opportunity to find safe and stable housing without financial constraints or barriers. As we continue to pass progressive policies to protect residents, invest in more permanent supportive housing, and make changes to our zoning plan, this ensures that every resident in Columbus is treated with respect and dignity. Thank you again to our partners who have worked extremely hard and stood up to support our community. With that, I'd like to introduce a fierce advocate for our homeless population and a key partner in our ongoing work, Ms. Emerald Hernandez Parra, my apologies, Assistant Director for Special Projects for the Columbus Department of Development.
Yeah, no one does. Good afternoon. As the lovely council member mentioned, my name is Emerald Hernandez Parra. I'm the Assistant Director of Special Projects for the Department of Development. And I'll open up with saying, while Thanksgiving has passed, the time for giving thanks never goes away. So from the bottom of me and all my years working in this, Council President Hart and Councilmember Favor, thank you for the drive you put into this project. When they say we met weekly and we had discussions almost daily, that's what we did, and we drove through to create this really amazing plan. I also want to say thank you to Mike and Josh. I don't know what I would do without you two stepping up and helping us fill this role. It is just too critical as we move into this season to make sure that we have organizations truly throwing open their doors, that no boundary, no barrier, just come inside and be safe. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with both of you. On behalf of Mayor Andrew J. Ginther, my Director Mike Stevens, and the City of Columbus, I'm excited to inform you that this resource is just one of many tools that we will use to help our residents in need. This is part of a systematic change we are currently undergoing to address all of our residents' needs and really address them in a way that acknowledges the struggles they've been through and acknowledges that their path will be unique as they work their way into housing and into a stable environment. This year, we have also released Elevate grants. So those were 2 grants we released earlier this year that were also focused on unsheltered residents. In addition to that, we've launched a transitional housing pilot, which we also worked with our partners over in Councilmember Favor's office and Council President Hardin's office. And then this coordinated warming center project, which is critical. We are coordinating across multiple providers, and the more we do this as a system, the better off we're going to be. So, we have a representative from the libraries. We have, obviously, our two partners. Outreach will continue throughout the winter. I think that's something that people are not aware of in our community. Our outreach workers with Mount Carmel, with Southeast, with Maryhaven, these individuals are just the salt of the earth. I love these individuals. They are out in the field, out talking to people, and they will also be visiting these centers. How can we work with you to get you into housing? How can we work with you on your next step moving forward? This work is critical, right? Being able to pick up the phone, being able to organize these meetings to help our residents move forward and into housing. So the excitement behind this is huge among all of us. I also want to go into a little bit about the 4 pillars about Mayor Ginther's housing strategy. Of course, there are build, preserve, invest, and the one I want to highlight is include. Focusing on include means that we will embrace all of our residents by addressing the racial and economic disparities and fostering diverse neighborhoods. So not just diverse racially, also economically, socioeconomically. That's how we get the best of our neighborhoods. This also means we are going to continue to invest and focus on inclusionary zoning and inclusionary housing to make sure our residents who are currently on the land or in a shelter have a place to move forward to. It is critical as we move forward, we move people forward, that they have a place to land. So I want to just really emphasize, whether our residents are on the land or in our shelter, our edict as America's Opportunity City is to create a housing market where all are welcome, where all are included, because a safe place to put your head at night isn't just nice, it isn't just lovely, right? It's how we ensure that our children are able to develop to their fullest potential. A place where our families can be strong and come together and really just have those family moments. And the future of this city and this region is reliant on us moving our housing market forward. In 2023, you can expect additional changes and adjustments and investments in affordable housing. Additionally, we will continue to work with our providers like the Shelter Board and those who are here today, and new partners. We look forward to bringing new partners into this work because we need as many partners as possible. And we'll be working with them to advance new programming and new opportunities for people experiencing homelessness so we can stabilize them, stabilize their families, and help them all keep moving forward. So we are really excited as we move forward again. I don't think I've said it enough. So please join me in bringing up one of our lovely partners, one of the best in the business, Sarah Loken with the Community Shelter Board.
Thanks, Emerald.
Yep.
Thank you, Emerald, and special thanks to Mayor Ginther, Council President Hardin, and Councilmember Favor. Under your leadership, Columbus really is a unique and special community in how we take care of our most vulnerable residents. On any given night this winter, there are more than 1,200 people sleeping in Columbus homeless shelters. More than 7,000 people slept in homeless shelters last year, and more than 1,500 of them were children. The partners in Community Shelter Board's network that provide shelter 365 days a year include Faith Mission, Maryhaven, Southeast Healthcare, Volunteers of America, YMCA of Central Ohio, and YWCA Columbus. We are deeply grateful for their long-standing commitment to this work. As I said, those agencies operate shelters 365 days a year, and every fall, we implement a plan for the winter. These partners open hundreds of additional beds so that there is room for everyone. As Council President Hardin said, there is no waiting list for shelter during the winter. People access shelter by calling the homeless hotline. The hotline is operated by our partner, NetCare Access, and that number is 614-274-7000. Homeless hotline staff work with callers to assess their unique situations and attempt to direct a caller to any other safe, appropriate resource. But if there is no better option, they are connected to one of the shelters in our network. The most important message today is don't stay outside. Columbus homeless shelters make room every winter, and there are beds available. But what we're acknowledging today is that not everyone is willing to come into these large congregate settings. For this reason, we are very excited about the growing partnerships we're celebrating today with Columbus Coalition for the Homeless and Community Development for All People. The neighborhood-based beds they are bringing online may better engage people in need who don't typically come inside. And coming inside can be the literal difference between life and death. I'm proud of the collaborative solutions we're celebrating today and grateful as always to stand among such dynamic and thoughtful leaders who care about the most vulnerable people in our community. Thank you, and I'm pleased to introduce Mike Primo, Executive Director of Community Development for All People.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Primo, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Development for All People. For the past few years, we have opened our doors on the coldest nights of the year to give people experiencing homelessness a safe and warm place to sleep. We've done it sporadically when we had volunteers and when the temperature fell below a certain degree. But last winter, we knew we had to do more. So with the help of funding from our friends at City Council, we opened our doors every night of the week for 5 weeks. We were the only continuously operating overnight warming center in the city of Columbus. We quickly had over 120 people a night sleeping on yoga mats on our floors. People came to us from all over the city because we had no barrier to entry. They kept coming back because they felt safe and because they were treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. We did our best, but we quickly realized that our best was nowhere near good enough. So, in the spring, we held a town hall meeting to discuss how we could collectively provide a better safety net for people experiencing homelessness. We brought together stakeholders, advocates, and public officials to hear from the people who stayed in our warming center and to start to figure out how we could do a better job serving those who are on the streets. The conversations that followed have brought us here to this point, a groundbreaking collaborative between government and nonprofits that is actually going to have real impact. These overnight warming centers will save lives this winter, and they will connect people experiencing homelessness with the resources to ensure that that many of them will have a place of their own by this time next year. This is how it's supposed to work, folks. Government and nonprofit coming together, organizations willing to take on a new challenge, start a new project, being unafraid to build those relationships and take on new responsibilities. Government providing the resources without the red tape. All of this to better serve the community. So I want to thank Council President Hardin and Councilmember Favor and your outstanding staff for your leadership and making this funding available to bring these warming centers online. I want to thank the Community Shelter Board for being willing to try new things and support barrier-free warming centers. And a special thanks to Emerald Hernandez-Para from the Department of Development for your tireless advocacy. Our next speaker is Josh Poston. He's the director of the Columbus Coalition for the Homeless. No one is on the front lines more than Josh, and no one is more committed to the most marginalized in our community. And we are grateful to partner with Josh and the coalition in this work. Josh?
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to City Council, Council Presidents Hardin and Councilmember Shayla Favor. Please, understand that we are internally grateful. I was telling some of my staff members and guests that this is the best Christmas present that the coalition could have gotten. The opportunity to bring Columbus's most vulnerable community members inside, to be able to advocate for them and keep them safe during these winter months. The coalition was called upon at the height of the pandemic to open our doors and provide a safe space during the daytime for our homeless friends and neighbors. We opened 6 sites across central Ohio, and we saw about 250 guests that winter. It was a successful program. We were able to link our friends with resources and get them connected to outreach providers and help them down the path to resolve their crises. The next winter, we opened again, and we saw over 1,000 guests come through our doors. With working with Mike and his overnight program, we were sending guests to community development for all people for the nighttime services as we handled the daytime services. At that point, we realized that we were up against a bigger issue than we could have imagined. Coming into this winter, we sat down at the table and started discussing on how we can keep our neighbors and friends safe. So I want to say thank you for everybody who has been tirelessly working and meeting on Fridays, every Friday for months on end now to give us this opportunity to bring people inside in a true low, ultra low barrier program. Come as you are. We offer resources, we offer connections to agencies who specialize in mental health, alcohol and drug addictions, and things of that nature. Mount Carmel, Southeast, Maryhaven are on site consistently. The Discovery team and their case management team has been absolutely rock stars here and have gotten people into housing. By building relationships and building rapport, we are able to have successful outcomes. We are not tied to case management and metrics. We are here to build relationships. And by building those relationships, we are able to break down walls, break down barriers, and get people out of their crisis. Right now, we are open. We opened on December 15th. We are located at the campus area at 82 East 16th Avenue, and we are located right here at 501 East Broad Street. We will not close our doors until March 15th. Community Development for All People will be opening January 2nd. They will offer us support for our Southside guests and friends, and we will work together to make sure that everybody in Columbus has a safe place to be during these winter months. I have the pleasure of introducing my friend, Harold, who I have known now for about 3 years. So come on now. He's going to give a little bit of talk about what these type of programs mean to the people that need these type of programs.
Hi, my name is Harold. And the difference is people that care. You know, coming to the Women's Center, it helped me a lot. Because in the summer, you sweat and you get smelly, but at the Women's Center, you could come and wash. You got people that welcome you in with a smile, you know, regardless if you smell. And they don't go back and say, hey, you know, he really stinks. You know, and all. It's not a show, you know. It's, whatever you needed, bus passes, they meet your need. They come and actually meet your need. And it really blows my mind because somebody that really cares. You really don't get people that really cares. They, you know, but this place really cares. They feed you. They give you a shower, things that you need to be happy to walk up to you and say, hey man, hey, good morning. You know, because you don't smell anymore. You know, somebody who cares. I mean, man, this place cares. Yeah, I never met people like that works at that shelter. I never met people. I've been in many shelters, but it's easy to push them aside. But it's kind of like hard to give them something what they really need. You know, to give me what I really need, a nice hello, a smile, a clean sheet. You know, I don't know what I'd do without that place. You know, because especially on a Sunday, you know, where the library opens at 1, and it's in the wintertime, and I'm cold as heck. I am so cold. I mean, you just don't know. You know, I mean, cold as heck. And under your blankets it's warm, and you really don't want to go. You want to get up and go, but it's cold. And no one cares. And you wonder how people become homeless, because people give up. They give up on people like me. Hey, well, that's his problem. I understand. I've fallen, and I seem not to be able to get up. But with help from the Women's Center, from people that cares, you know, you get that help. You get that help. And it doesn't matter. See, at the Women's Center, it's not a black or white thing, because everybody's the same. We are the same. And we treat each other, say, yeah, we argue, and we this and we that. We have problems. But, you know, through that center, you know, we seem to get over it. We find people, they are so awesome, man. They find a way to take your mind off of a problem, even if it was for a day. They take your mind off of your issues, you know. And even the people at the shelter comes to the Women's Center. That's because that's how awesome it is. From the shelter, they come just to the Women's Center to be there, you know. That's an awesome place, man. It's so awesome, man, because you got people like her. I love your smile, and you got people that cares. They give you a warm meal on the wind. I mean, that feeds you. Oh man, I mean, that actually feeds you. You know, could you imagine being warm? I mean, a homeless person and somebody come and give you a warm meal and you're hungry. Oh my goodness, you look up and you say, oh my, how could you do this? I'm just me. I mean, I'm homeless. I'm smelly. And then you feel, the homeless person feels no good. He feels worthless. But then when someone comes and gives them something, oh my goodness, it just blows you away because you care. You know, just to care, you know. It's just care. Oh my goodness, people just care, you know. And I know you guys care. I know that, you know. I thank you guys because I've never seen people like you guys. I've never seen people like you guys that cared. Because all my life, people took, you know, didn't care. It just took, you know. And then to run to someone to care and gave, you know, it's different. It's different. And you wonder, how could a person care for me when I'm almost giving up on myself because no one cares for me? You know? I'm grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful, man. I mean, I'm grateful. I am grateful. You know, to be among you guys, man, that center is awesome. They're not so easy to catch and to judge you. They're not so easy to judge you and to kick you out like other places. Pencil whoop you and kick you out. Or because I fell asleep off of my meds, I didn't sign the bed list. And this is real life. That happens real life to people. Because I didn't sign the bed list, because I took my meds and I fell asleep, and I didn't sign the bed list, I don't have a bed. And this is what happens. And this is how you become, you know, homeless on top of homeless. This is what some shelters do. They don't care. Oh, he didn't sign the bed list? All I had to do is go to your bed and say, hey, man, you forgot to sign. No, they won't. And they're happy to kick you out. And the reason why I'm, because a bad reason, because then when they kick me out, I have no blankets. So I'd rather be out with my blankets instead of being kicked out with no blankets. You know? And so you kind of like stay in that rut because I got to protect my blanket because I know they're going to kick me out. I know they're going to kick me out, you know? But with the Coalition for the Homeless, it's not like that. It's not like that. They're not easy to kick you out. They're not easy to kick you out. They try everything they can, and they succeed. And yes, and they succeed. They don't argue with you like other places that are so easy to argue with you and to pencil whip you and to kick you out. You know, this place is not like that. It's not they don't rush you into Christianity or none of that crap, you know. They meet you at your knees, you know. What you ask for, 99% of the time you get it because they're willing to give it to you, especially if they have it. You know, so I am grateful. I'm grateful for this time. Man, you guys look awesome. You guys look awesome, man. I am happy to be here. I'm grateful. My name is Harold, and thank you, guys.
You know, Harold said something that really just got to me. He said, you know, who am I? That's what we ask ourselves sometimes. And who Harold is a resident. He's a resident of the city of Columbus. He's a person. And in Columbus, because of these partnerships, Harold and all of our residents, regardless of during the day or overnight or during an inclement weather situation, will have a safe place to go. And for that, we're grateful. I want to say thank you to all the partners that got us here today. I want to thank Mayor Ginther, to Emerald. When council brought this to Emerald and the mayor, they jumped all the way in, and I'm just very grateful for their support. To Mike Primo, to former leader of the CD for All People, John Edgar, who was a part of that first conversation, to Sarah and our folks at the Shelter Board. This is important. To my colleague, Councilmember Favor, and to our residents. Sarah said it best. Over this weekend will be dangerous. The weather that is coming is dangerous. We want folks to come inside. We want you to come inside. There is space for everyone. So do not stay outside in this dangerous weather. Some of these overflow capacities are, like Josh said, low barrier. Our goal, the most important thing, our priority, is to get you inside. So we have the space, we have the partnerships, and we have the support to keep our residents safe. So thank you all for being here. Help us tell this story, especially over the next several weeks. But this is a winter plan that stacks on top of a great shelter system, but it adds another resource and an opportunity for our residents. With that, we will, for the press, we will do one-on-ones with all that are here. Thank you so much for being here.